My. You got me. Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, man, oh man, the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch press conference. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it, folks. I've seen a lot of things in the NFL. I've seen a lot of things in NFL locker rooms. There's a lot of things going on, NFC playoffs games, and all the way down the NFC championship following that run with Aaron Rodgers. But just to bring it back home, this press conference here is something I've never ever seen before. As the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch had a press conference, and they really were doing kind of an end of the year. They did it last year the same, but boy, I tell you what, back to back, you got the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, and he's doing his best. And John, and I really believe they're divided. John, I can see the look on John's face, and John's from Stanford, and for to go folks in the NFL, this normally doesn't happen in the NFL. And you look at Nick Sorensen, right? In the NFL, you do not hire back to back years defensive coordinators, right? Because what does that tell the world? You don't know defense. And folks, in the bottom of my heart, I'll tell you, Kyle Shanahan doesn't know defense, right? He just can't figure that piece out. But for Kyle, he's figuring like, no, I do know defense. And let me break this down with the San Francisco 49ers and why Spagnuolo and Andy Reid, why they just been spanking him around like a little child in the boat chip, right? And to Kruger and Damon Bruce, man, that was a good show. And I will tell you, I'm a Kruger man, Damon Bruce, man. I love to watch you guys. That was good stuff. But let's take it back, folks. You got Andy Reid and you got Spagnolia, right? And you know why they win? There's a thing in the coaching football that everyone knows, and it's called stay in your area, right? You stay in your area. You don't really go meddling in somebody else's area. Well, for Kyle, he's meddling in the area. Excuse me. He's meddling in the area there, and it's ugly over there right now. And I kind of told everybody last year that with Kyle Shanahan, I mean, guys, I'll take you through the whole. I mean, it's an emotional. And you want to look at Kyle Shanahan. This is where he walked through the door, right? He walks in. Okay, we got a brand new coach, Kyle Shanahan. I mean, he's done his song and dance, and he's done it well. No, nobody can discount what he's done for the 49ers on a positive note. Now, is it antiquated? Well, I'm going to tell you yes, right? Because you got John Lynch knows 100% that this is not how you build a defense. I don't know how anyone has sold themselves that the 49ers can come out of this and build a defense firing coaches back to back, right? And the reason Kansas City is winning and the 49ers have lost to Kansas City, they're 0-5. So realistically, Kyle Shanahan will never beat Kansas City. Why? Because when you hire a defensive coordinator in the NFL, they bring their own guys. They bring all their guys with them. Folks, the way this works in the NFL, when you hire a guy to be your defensive coordinator, right? And you look at the way the 49ers are trying to do it, and everybody's going, Mike, I don't know. Well, Steve Wilkes didn't know this. No. See what you've done, here, and you're trying to do it again, right? They're trying to do it again. So that leans. They've offered the job to Robert Saleh and different people, and they're trying to because the D coordinator, defensive guys. When you normally in the NFL, you hire a defensive coordinator, the coordinator is bringing a coaching staff with them because they've assembled a staff of guys they work with. Now, it could be them really circling back and bringing guys that they've had a long history with. But if you look at the Washington Commanders, and I told you last time, okay, for the 49ers, once they made that move, okay, things were going to change and change rapidly for the 49ers because you cannot build a defense in 1 year, right? So the 49ers did it again. They figured, well, our defense is so good that we don't have to have a real defensive coordinator because Kyle Shanahan doesn't want anybody challenging him or anybody having any authority. But the whole thing, he doesn't know football. And when you get to the point you don't know football, guys, I mean, you got to really understand what I mean. Because in that press conference, and John tried to solidify it, but he took the question, right? Because the media now has figured it out, right? And when the media figured it out from Kyle, everything that Kyle is saying is all just kind of a hodgepodge of information, right? And so here's how this one went down, right? So the guys like the media's like, well, wait a minute, man. Schematically, with the special teams, are you going to get what is going to do for a special team? You're going to need somebody to come in and coach that too, because you don't really do special teams. They're calling him out on it now, folks. He got a pass when things are going good, but in the 49ers world and the 49er fans, and being a 49er going all the way back to the 77. I go all the way back to the Paul Holford days. If you guys ever want to know who a good running back was with an empty stadium, it was Paul Holford, right? But here's the deal. They're calling him out on it. And then John takes the question in the press conference. He jumps ahead because he can know the reporter's calling him out saying, Kyle, that's a disrespectful question. And the guy goes, no, Kyle spends time on special teams. He's really involved. No, he's not, John. How can I mean, it's an embarrassment for John to do the cover up. And folks, first of all, John is not going anywhere, right? They're not firing John Lynch. That's NFL Hall of Fame. That's Stanford. In fact, if anything, I wish John would have never went into administration and just been the head football coach, because there's no way John Lynch can convince me that he's been in he went through this. Here's the other thing. He can't convince me, but he went through this with Tony Dungy. I mean, you got a coach right here, right now, just like Tony Dungy. Great coach, Kyle Shanahan. Nobody questions that. But I'll tell you what's missing, and I'll tell you what's missing right now. And I had to think this one out. All right, let me circle the wagons back on here. All right, so Tony Dungy had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, kind of like Kyle Shanahan, right? I mean, they go hand in hand, really, if you look at it. I mean, Kyle's fascinated, but, at the same time, he wasn't a defensive coach like Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy actually coaches defense, knows defense, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and played for the legendary Chuck Noll. But when Tony was at Tampa Bay, here was the toughest thing, and the players kind of knew it because it was kind of Tony's method is Tony doesn't curse, doesn't yell. I mean, he does it a different manner, but it's workable, and he had built something with that defense. And then Warren Sapp, Jon Gruden came in, right? The 49ers, Jon Gruden, would that work? 49ers, Jon Gruden, would that work? Oh, maybe, no, I don't know. If you ask me, I'd be the first one to say yes right now. But here's the deal. Warren Sapp said that we don't have enough bite. We don't have enough bite. And what I'm telling you here, folks, for Kyle Shanahan and the players that we've had, right? We've had some good players. The question we have to ask ourselves is, does Kyle have enough bite? Okay, you want to look at these happy smiles and all the moves, all the things that have been done, and now we get into this stage where last year for the 49ers, this past season, folks, if you are a 49er fan, you have to say this was a total embarrassment. Okay. And we brought in a tremendous amount of B rated free agents. I said before, these guys don't even know what type of soda each other drink, let alone have to play defense. And it's impossible to build a defense that way because, folks, you got to have the same group. Okay, John Lynch knows this. You got to have a coach. You want to have the same coaches because sometimes over that 2-3 year period, see, every time Kyle goes back and gets another coach, you know what happens now? Now you got another voice coming in the room. So for 3 straight years, the 49ers, because Kyle Shanahan is the only NFL coach in NFL saying, come in and be my defensive coordinator and run a wide 9 scheme. Normally in the NFL, you hire a defensive coordinator to come on in. Now, 49ers, this is an interesting. They'll probably get somebody it has to be a former 49er because no defensive coordinator is going to take the job, right? Because now everybody in the league knows, here goes Kyle again, firing another coach, right? But he didn't fire Nick Sorensen. See, this is kind of like a parachute. So Nick Sorensen, okay, we knew he couldn't coach defense before. That's why we hired Steve Wilks. And we knew he couldn't coach defense this time. So instead of firing him, we came up with a solution. We'll just give Nick Sorensen a demotion, which means if there's conversation out there that they talk to somebody, they're probably said, hey, Nick's fine, right? But he don't got the Jon Gruden bite. I'm looking for that bite, right? I mean, I'm looking for that bite where, I would love to see Kyle Shanahan say something like that to the 49er defense. You should have went up to Nick and looking at Staley, who you brought in there, and said, if you guys think this defense is so good, why don't you guys just go out there and score? Right? Why don't you guys just go score? I mean, John talented, but Jon Gruden has bite, folks. The 49ers right now need bite. And I don't tell you something right now. When you play defense, and I roll with my defensive guys, right? I played for Mike Bellotti, Nick Alioli, George Russ, City College, San Francisco, right? On the defense, man, you hit hard and you become a unit. You don't switch guys in and out because guys have got to learn. The saddest thing I saw on the 49er field this year was Fred Warner, right after you bring in Staley, you brought this guy in to do what, right? Because he's been there for a year. Nobody even knows what his position is, right? I mean, it's just like it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen happen because there's no continuity of coaching. Okay, and so now you got to fire guys, you got to hire guys, you go out there, and this has been a journey and a half, folks. I'll walk you through the journey, right? I mean, the journey for me, for Kyle, is like, man, great offensive play quarter, great play caller, right? But not a great head coach. No doubt about it. He can be great. He kind of reminds me, there's a lot of coaches, and I call them one-trick ponies, and he only got one trick. Like, and what do I mean when I say that, Kyle doesn't really coach the defense? I mean, you don't know how valuable it was. Even though he had a lot of injuries, and even though the guys you brought in to replace him had even more injuries, how valuable when you have a leader in the locker room. And when you have a leader in the locker room, you got to recognize that. Now, the positive, and I really think to Damon Bruce, Damon Bruce, you made a great point. I was watching on the Kruger. And normally I watch these guys, and sometimes I fall asleep. But Dan Bruce really made a big time statement because here's the deal with Brock Purdy. The 49ers, go ahead and give Brock Purdy the contract. Make it as big as you want to be because here's what the 49ers do owe Brock Purdy, okay? And everyone knows it, and I think it's fair because it doesn't matter. Even if Brock Purdy got $60 million a year, it would be fair to me because Brock Purdy really played for league minimum. Right, so this is not the contract the 49ers are doing, and the B. Bartello, York, they're always going to do the right thing, right? But the main thing is Brock Purdy played for the 49ers for basically free, right? And so now where he should have been getting at least $30 million a year, so they're giving him in this new contract some back pay. So even if the contract is big, it's really an undervalue because Brock Purdy could have been making $30, $40 million a year, on that tier coming in. But, I mean, he did come in late, but it is what it is. But we do owe Brock, right? And Damon Bruce, you hit it. I ain't mad at you. Now, losing Anthony Lynn, I tell you guys, that's going to be a tough one. I mean, you get these guys who are assistant head coaches, right? But he's been a head coach in the National Football League. And I said, once you lose, okay, right here, Anthony Lynn. And you know what? Him and Steve Wilkes were connected. They're friends. These guys in the NFL, this is getting a little bit out of control, but it's just the way that NFL does business. And I instead of really getting upset, I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way to communicate it. I mean, because you get up there, you got Jarrett Mayo up there in New England, right? And you get these guys, they go pick your team, they pick the quarterback, they draft everything, they do everything for you. And then at the end of the year, they fire you, right? Because what? They want to bring in Nick Vrabel or something? I mean, you should do it in the beginning, and you can ease the pain. Antonio Pierce was fired as well, so that's all part of it. But, folks, I get back to it. Kyle Shanahan just doesn't know it, man. I know you guys want him to know it, but he doesn't know it. And John Lynch has been just straining at the hip, man. I've never seen John so frustrated. And when John starts folding those arms up, guys, when he's really frustrated, and when he starts, has his hands down by his sides, and he's real relaxed, right? That's just a tell in the poker game. Nick Sorensen wasn't even close, wasn't ready last year. And this wide nine, trying to keep a wide nine, man. Let a guy bring in some innovation into the defense and get a defensive coordinator. Can't beat Kansas City, can't win a Super Bowl. So, folks, I don't know what results we think we're going to change in the next 2 or 3 years, but it's not going to change much. Wilkes is just donating time. He'll be back in the game, but the 49ers need that Jon Gruden bite. That's what I'm talking about. Needing that Chucky bite, man. Ain't no bite around the 49ers. Somebody please tell me what Staley is doing. I really want to know because this one kind of puzzles me a little bit. What does Staley do? Brock Purdy, new contract, well-deserved. It's going to have a little back pay in it, so just let it ride. But it is what it is, and we will keep it there. You know, C-Mac, man, given a new contract, wasn't ready to go. But he's earned his pay, so hopefully he'll be back. We hope they have a better year, folks. But I'll tell you straight up, you're not going to build any defense by just bringing in the defensive coordinator and then everything. Now you want him to do what you want to do on defense or run it the way you want to run it, even though you don't know how to do it yourself. What do I mean, don't know how to do it? If I said Kyle Shanahan, go coach the DBs, Kyle would say, I don't know how to coach DBs. I said, Kyle Shanahan, go coach the middle linebackers. You know what he'd say? I don't know how to coach the middle linebackers. I said, go coach the safety, free safety. I don't know how. You know why? Because it's all technique, folks. It's technique, and you learn that technique over the years, right? And John Lynch knows that. See, this is ridiculous. More defense. 49ers be heavy drafting on defense. John Lynch going to rebuild it. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're hoping you have a great day and a great tomorrow, and then we'll keep on pushing it forward. All things are possible. 49ers are in a disaster zone, but it is what it is. Hosting up the Super Bowl, we'll get through it.